Hey, loves, welcome back to Lotus Bloom Podcast. I'm Lola V, and I'm so grateful you're here. Thank you for choosing to sit with me again. In episode 5, I opened up the door and let you into the beginning of my story. I share how I reached a breaking point and why I decided I could no longer stay silent. That authentic and freeing feeling. Today, I want to take you deeper into the world I grew up in, the one I tried to escape in my mind long before I escaped it physically. This episode is about my early childhood, about what it felt like to grow up in a house or households that were unstable, abusive, neglectful, and sometimes emotionally empty. I want to share this not to really dwell in the pain, but to honor the little girl, my inner child, and maybe help someone else make sense of their past. So let's begin. When I think back to my earliest memories, they were good times, just as well as they were bad ones. At one point, I felt safe. Then eventually, I started to feel unseen, unheard, and sometimes I didn't feel safe. I can remember the tension, the heartbreak, and anxiety, the fear. Things were unpredictable. I felt like I was walking on eggshells, suppressing my emotions. I was fearful to speak, so I stayed quiet a lot. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like the fear that I felt that pushed me to be quiet, it lingered throughout my early childhood, my middle childhood, early teens, like just overall, like it really lingered on to probably I was like maybe like 19, 20, something like that. I learned early that emotions was dangerous. Crying, you were weak. Asking questions, you were disrespectful. I became quiet not because I didn't have anything to say, but because I felt like silence was safer. There were days I would pray that someone would notice I wasn't okay. Like, I can recall on multiple different occasions where people witnessed the things that I endured and they just would walk by or act like it was nothing, like it was normal. But I wasn't okay. It's like in my house, emotions were invisible. You were supposed to just get over it, move on, and be strong. But I was a child. I didn't even know what that meant yet. I feel like my emotions still mattered. They were just ignored, pushed to the side. And that really, I'm not gonna lie, really put me in a box. Like, I didn't realize how much of the pain and traumatic experiences I experienced in my childhood really affected me overall in different areas of life. You would never realize until you really sit back and reflect and look back on like why you are certain ways that you are. It's hard to make sense of it sometimes. And sometimes it could be a harsh reality. My childhood wasn't just emotionally neglectful, it was abusive. There were nights I went to bed hungry, not always having food, but, but for love, for safety, for a kind word, sometimes both. There were people who should have protected me, but didn't. People who turned a blind eye, and others who added to the pain. I saw manipulation, lies, screaming, gaslighting. I lived inside of dysfunction. And the worst part is I thought that it was normal. I really thought what the things that I had experienced was normal, bro. I couldn't understand why I was being treated the way that I was. I also had to grow up early due to certain circumstances. I didn't grow up in a two-parent household, but I knew who my parents were. You know, I was constantly in a state of confusion. I didn't know who to trust, not even myself. When you grow up in chaos, your body learns to stay ready, always on edge, always alert. I went through anxiety, depression, PTSD. It's like your body feels like you're carrying a load, baggage, weight. I became a master at survival without even realizing it. I developed instincts that kept me alive but later destroyed me. I learned how to read a room in seconds, scanning for danger, figuring out how to shrink myself to avoid becoming a target. I became a people pleaser, a perfectionist, Chemelin. I do anything to avoid confrontation, anything to be not really left out or abandoned. And let me say this, these were not flaws, these were adaptations. I wasn't broken, I was surviving. But survival isn't easy, it isn't the same as living. And deep down, a part of me was crying for help, waiting for someone to rescue me, waiting for help. And I didn't know that the rescue would come from within, that I would become the protector I never had. And that right there was a deep realization in itself. Looking back, I see a little girl who was doing the best she could with what she had. A little girl who deserves so much more. And maybe that's you too. Maybe you were taught that your needs didn't matter, that your voice didn't matter, that love had to be earned, that safety was a privilege, not a right. If so, I want you to know you weren't wrong for how you felt. You weren't crazy. You were just trying to survive in a world that did not nurture you. And I want to leave you with these two questions. How did you have to, how can you start to thank yourself for the way you had to survive? And what did you have to do to survive? Thank you for sitting with me in these memories. I know they're heavy, but they matter. Every piece of your story matters, even the ones that hurt to look at it. In the next episode, I will share some pivotal traumatic moments. I'll share when I realized something had to change, what it looked like taking those first steps towards healing. Not pretty, not perfect, but powerful. If this episode resonated with you, I would love to hear from you. Connect with me on Instagram, like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Comment below, send me a message. And if you're healing, just know this. You're not alone. Your past shaped you, but does not define you. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. Love you. It's Lola B, back at it with another one. Bye.